Will tell me kind of what they are looking to or hoping to good?
Is that good?
Yeah, that's fine. Is it going? Yes. Okay. What they're hoping to expect, and it's all on the agenda for the night. Well, are you looking for Catholic Schoolhouse?
Yes.
Come on in. Just got started.
Grab that chair. We got one right here for you. Thank you.
All right. What we always do in Catholic Schoolhouse, always ask the kids, how do we always start? And it's always they answer with a prayer. So I want to go ahead and do the same thing with our info meeting tonight. So if you'll join me, let's ask for the intercession of Mary to bless our time together. So in the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen.
Amen. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Perfect. Okay, so let's just dive right in. The first, most basic question, I dropped my mouse on the way in, so we'll see if it's working. Perfect. Okay. Most basic question is what is Catholic Schoolhouse? And we'll go into a lot of detail on to answer that from several different faucets, but everybody see this okay? Sorry, I don't have a big projector. There's a spectrum of how you can homeschool, as many of you probably know, anywhere from traditional to being an unschooler. So if you're unfamiliar with those terms mean, traditional, you're going to be thinking about very much a school at home type of thing. It can include lots of checklists. It can be a complete program like Seton or Colby or Mother of Divine Grace, Catholic Heritage Curriculum, something like that. There's often a lot of structure, worksheets, textbooks, desk work, print and fill out types of things, okay? So that's on one end of the spectrum. And then clear on the other end of the spectrum would be the unschoolers, who are very much free flow learning and child-directed type of learning. Where they use life experience to really help their children to gain a good education. And then there's the Charlotte Mason types, which I put probably somewhere in the middle on that spectrum. These are the folks that really enjoy loving reading living books, things that really help history come alive. They really focus on habits and virtues, and there's a broad focus of a lot of different subjects, okay? So the really nice thing about Catholic Schoolhouse is that no matter where you fall on that spectrum, it's something that you can incorporate into your homeschool and it can work for you, okay? Some people decide, that's what this says, it can work for you. So some people will decide to use Catholic Schoolhouse as a complete supplement program. Okay, so they might have their Colby program that they have been doing for 20 years and that they love. And so they'll do the complete program, and then they'll just come to the Catholic Schoolhouse chapter on the day that we meet and use it completely as a supplement and as a reinforcer for what they are doing in their other programs, okay? And then other people use it as just inspiration and or the spine of their Catholic schoolhouse or their homeschool, so that what they'll do is they'll listen to all of the music and the framework, and then they'll actually, so it tells you like what to study, and then you'll get to decide how you want to study it. So let's say that we're learning about the Vikings this week. If you want to go to the library and get 20 books on the Vikings, then you can do so. Does that make sense? Or not. You know, use as much or as little and pull as much or as little as you want to. Does that make sense so far? Perfect. Okay. All right, so we say Catholic Schoolhouse is homeschool success through a classical approach. So the classical approach, it's pretty different than what many of us grew up, especially if you went to 501 or something like that, okay? It's not going to be your traditional classroom type of education. So what does that mean exactly? The classical model, it's based on the trivium, which are the 3 stages of development. It respects and honors where the students are in their level of development, okay? So there's 3 main levels. The first one is the grammar age, and that's what we usually think of as the elementary years, okay? So approximately K through 6th grade. And then their students will move into the dialectic age, which is approximately the middle school years, is your 7th through 9th grade. And then they move on to the rhetoric stage, which is high school or 10th through 12th grade, and sometimes even beyond that as well. Okay. The core of Catholic Schoolhouse is based on the grammar level, although they have developed an amazing dialectic and even a rhetoric program that we haven't implemented locally here yet. But I've been blown away by how awesome the dialectic program is. But we're going to start by talking mostly about the grammar level. And we also have a pre-grammar level too. So we're talking 2.5 to 4 years old as well. So there's a place for everybody in the family at the Catholic Schoolhouse. Okay. So those are the levels. What does that mean? Okay. So in a classical education at the grammar level, this is the age where memorization comes easy, and it's fun. You kind of think of like a 2-year-old who learns their ABCs. They have no idea what those ABCs mean. They don't understand that an A can be used in the word cat and all this different stuff. But they can usually spout it off. And it's the same thing as the child develops. They learn memory work in each of the main subjects.
They'll never let you forget anything.
Okay, so in Catholic schoolhouses, we give them memory pieces for a bunch of different subjects: religion, music, art, math, science, Latin, language art, history, and geography. Okay, so that they're learning memory pieces for all of these. And these are going to be the building blocks that they will develop and grow into as they enter the different stages of development. So the grammar stage is all about memorization. Hi there. Hello, welcome.
Sorry, my bird's
We've got some chairs over here if there's not any there available.
You guys can sit here.
Squeeze in.
Too much this way.
Help yourself the water and cookies. All right, and just like learning the ABCs, it comes a lot easier and it's a lot more fun in a song. Same thing with Catholic schoolhouses. All the memory work is not just words, but it's all set to songs and chants. It makes it a lot of fun to learn. Okay, so then usually around the age of 12, you're going to notice that your scholar is starting to become more argumentative. That's a good sign that they are moving into the dialectic, or it's also called the logic phase. And that's actually a really good thing, because that means that they're starting to wrestle with all of those facts that they have learned up to that point. And so what we do in the Catholic Schoolhouse Dialectic class is we help to direct that argumentativeness in a very positive way. And we orient that towards being able to create logical arguments in each of these subjects. So they have all the building blocks, so now they're starting to piece it together, and it's starting to make more sense. And they're starting to, when they wrestle with these facts, they're going to try to argue it and prove it wrong. And when they realize that they can't, those facts actually, they own them, and it becomes a part of them. And they actually, when they reach the end of this stage, they know what they believe and why. Okay? And then they move into the rhetoric phase. So now we're talking about the high school level. At this age, they know, they have their own ideas. Okay, so now that we give them the tools to learn how to effectively communicate them, both orally and written. So that's the age that we learn how to be better communicators and to share all of their thoughts. Okay, so those are the different stages of classical development. Any questions on that at this point? Okay. Another key point to a classical education is that God is at the center of all of the subjects. It's not just another subject that you go to. So it's not just like, okay, I did religion for the day, now let me go on for math and language arts and all of these things. Everything is focused and geared towards God being the center of all of our education. Okay. So then that leads us to, what does a Catholic schoolhouse actually look like, and what does it teach? So there's common problems and questions for homeschoolers include, am I teaching the right things, and I'm moving too fast or too slow through them? So as I said at the beginning of our meeting, the tour guide, which is this right here, and this is something that every family will have. You'll purchase this if you join the chapter. It will teach you, this will tell you what to teach, and then as the primary educator, you get to decide how you want to teach that. So whether it's just playing the CDs at home and being an exposure, or if it's building upon this at home and going to the library, picking out books, watching YouTube videos on it, whatever it is, however you want to implement it in your own home, this will give you the info that you need for that. Yeah, Erin.
Do you do this per grade level or per all of grammar is included in that 1 week, whether that child is in kindergarten or 4th grade?
Yeah, and that's an excellent question. That's one of the greatest things, actually, that I would say the number one benefit of Catholic Schoolhouse is that no matter if your 2-year-old is going to be studying the same things that your 9th grader is studying, okay? But everybody's studying at their own level, okay? So the way that our current classes are set, it is somewhat by age level, but there's a variance. Currently, I'm tutoring the K through 2nd graders, and then we have like a 2nd grader overlap through the 5th is the highest one, I think, in that class. So there's an overlap there, and those aren't set in stone. It's going to be dependent upon who ends up enrolling. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, but everybody delves in at their own level, and so obviously a dialectic student is going to go a whole lot deeper than their younger siblings will. Okay. Okay, so I'm currently showing you, I do not have all of the materials for Tour 3 yet. The orange book right there is the tour guide that you guys will be getting if you join for Tour 3. This is the one that we are currently working through on Tour 2. Okay. So everything that you see here, this will cover all of the material, all of the memory work for 1 week. And what's very, very cool about this program is that it's completely integrated. So before, I couldn't tell you, every 3 weeks, approximately, we get a new saint that we learn. And this week, it's St. Dominic. And St. Dominic, he lives at the exact same time period that we're learning in history. Okay, so it's all completely integrated. And we're learning about the artwork that came about at the exact same time period that we're learning about in history. So that at Tour 2 where we began, we began in the ancient world. And so we began with our saint being Moses and cave art. Okay, so we get to watch how art progresses through history. We get to see how the saints have developed through history. It's all interconnected. Then the students, in addition to their classroom work, the grammar students will get 30-minute hands-on art class and 30 minutes of a hands-on science lab. Okay, so for example, keeping with the week that we happen to be on right now, which is week 20, the artwork that we're learning the names of, okay, in our classroom, they're going to go to art class, and on week 20 art class, they're going to do a Proto-Renaissance Giotto, which I don't know because I don't speak, or I don't teach the art class. But it looks like a very cool program. I was just looking at it. They're going to recognize bas relief and high relief as an art form, and they're going to do projects with yarn and foil and all this stuff that I can promise you I would never do in my own home. Okay. And then this week in science, what they're going to be learning about is, tell me about lenses. Lenses refract or bend light, and talk about convex and concave lenses. Well, so they're going to memorize that fact in the classroom, and then they're going to go to the science lab, and there's an entire lab on lenses, refraction, and reflection. Okay, so they're actually going to be able to have a hands-on playing with these things and doing these different projects with that, okay? So it's all completely integrated, which I think is just a super cool thing.
Will you add about, you might talk about the dialectic science and art is different?
Sure, you can.
Or, I didn't know if you were going to touch on that.
I will briefly talk about dialectic, but there's a reason I've asked our dialectic tutors here tonight. You guys know more than I do about it.
Sure.
But yes, I will talk about the schedule, and then maybe at that point, if you want to add more about what you actually do in class, that would be super. Is there any questions, though, right now on the tour guide and how you use it and what it's for? No? Okay.
Do you have books, or it's just all?
This is it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so this is, you get to do it exactly how you want to. Catholic Schoolhouse at the grammar level, it covers all of your subjects except for you'll need to add in a language arts program and a math program. So with that, plus Catholic Schoolhouse, you've got your ground covered through 6th grade. Okay?
So do you call language art writing?
It depends at what level. You know, a first grader is going to be mostly learning how to read. And then it'll develop, you can add spelling, grammar, handwriting. So it's, again, as the tutor or the teacher, the primary teacher, you get to decide what your student needs and when they need it.
And that's on here.
That we do learn, yes, we do learn facts about language arts. Okay, so we're going to learn, like this week, it's alphabetical order. The first quarter, it's all about learning the definitions of nouns, verbs, adverbs, all of these different things, different parts of speech, different parts of letters. So yes, we're learning facts about it. However, you still have to delve into the finer points of language arts at home.
So
Well, you don't have to, but that's what they recommend.
How I use it at home is we use CHC. And so I'll look up in CHC the verbs, if we're learning about verbs, and they'll do those pages that week.
So you just do
Okay,
those
what ages
areas.
do you do all, like verbs, and I don't remember it, because it's been such a long time ago. But
So I have a third grader is the
Age.
youngest that I'm
what age is it?
8.
8, 9.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure she's 8. She's got too many. But if you wanted to, and 10 years ago I would have bought a book for the kindergartner. So you can do it at whatever age you want.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we did verbs and all that starting in kindergarten, but my kids started preschool, homeschool, so.
So I'd have to relearn all that stuff.
But if you have one young enough and you have a phonics program that you're doing, a lot of that starts in that phonics program also.
My youngest, I have him do reading eggs and math seeds and call it good, in addition to Catholic Schoolhouse, which are both online programs that
So
are
we just
game-based.
Search for those, or?
Yeah, it's a paid subscription program, yeah.
There's a lot of stuff.
And that's one of the nice things about joining the chapter too, is you have a lot of, everybody's on the same page and everybody's needing to do the same thing, so you have a lot of resources to tap into. So you can say, well, what do you use, why, what do you like about that? Lots of people to bounce that stuff off of. And again, we'll talk, I don't want to be too redundant, but we'll talk about this later as well, is that one of the benefits of joining Catholic Schoolhouse is you will also be added to something called Base Camp, which is kind of like a Catholic Schoolhouse Facebook, and it connects you to Catholic Schoolhouse chapters throughout the world. So if you ever have a question, you can throw that on there, and you have an even broader range of people to help you with that. There's also a Catholic Schoolhouse blog, website, and there's suggestions about different things that you can use there too if you just absolutely have no idea. So there's tons and tons of resources that can help fill those gaps. Okay. All right. Any other questions about any of this? Okay. I was just going to play a couple of excerpts. We talked about the language arts here. Here's a little, I don't know if I have my volume up. Hold on. Stop that. Just one moment, please.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, instead of playing through there, I'm going to play you. All right, so this is actually, Cindy brought her board. Cindy teaches our pre-grammar class, and so that has the memory work and the saints and all that stuff. So we're actually going to just listen to some excerpts from the week that we are currently studying. Oh, that's for last week's. Just joking.
Soul, and divinity are present under the
So this entire quarter religion is all about the different sacraments. So that one was about the Holy Eucharist.
Cool.
Some more examples here.
Lenses refract or bend light. Convex lenses make objects look bigger. Concave lenses make objects look smaller. Convex lenses make objects look bigger. Concave lenses make objects look smaller. How can you tell the difference? Concave looks like a cave.
Okay, so all of the memory work is put to songs like that. Even my 2-year-old will be singing about, especially Latin. Latin's her favorite. So, we'll go to the grocery store and my 2-year-old's singing Latin, so it makes me seem very impressive. Even though all I did was play the CD on the car to the grocery store. But it makes me look really good. Let's see. Maybe a history song. Which one's history?
Alphabetic.
That's math.
The Viking raids began in England 793, frightening King Ethelred. They came from Norway, they explored, plundered all the way from Spain to Russia. Their arrival the people did dread. Vikings left traces of their culture in every land. The arrival of the Vikings spread fear all across the land. They traveled the seas with their great longboats, making homes on Iceland and Greenland. Until the year 1000, Leif Erikson found America and settled the place they named Finland. The Vikings left traces of their culture in every land. The arrival of the Vikings spread fear all across the land. The Viking Age, 793 through 1066.
So every week's going to have a history song like that delves into the history deeper. And then there's an additional timeline song. So we're building a timeline throughout the entire year. So this year it's going to be from ancient years through 1500. And then the next year, when you guys are considering joining, is 1500 to modern times. So this is what...
By Saint Cyril and
Okay, this is the timeline for this week.
Alfred the Great of England, Benedictine Abbey, Hospital at Cluny, Viking invasion. Leif Erikson travels to North America around the year AD 1000.
So there's 5 new history cards or added timeline pieces every week. Okay, and then I just was going to play the Latin too. The younger
On the
kids,
back of those 5 history cards is the information about them.
right? So if you want to go and you want to dig more into it, you can. But there's a ton of info there that, for at least, especially for the younger kids, is more than enough. It's more than I know about history. But I was going to play the Latin if I could find it here.
Future tense endings are easy to learn. Bo bis feet, bimus vitis bunt. Bo bis feet, bimus vitis bunt.
So, and then when the students are actually in their classroom is we take all of that, in addition to just singing the songs, is we use memory techniques that try to hit on all the different types of learning styles that the scholars have. So we've got visual stuff, we've got auditory stuff, we've got lots and lots of kinesthetic stuff because I teach the young kids, and stuff that's tailored towards that age range too. So again, I teach very little kids. So like what we're doing this week is for Latin, instead of doing duck, duck, goose, we go bo, bis, feet, and then when we select somebody, we go future tense, and then they run around and scream and try to. Yeah.
Just, I'm trying to picture out,
Yes.
like how your whole week would go. So maybe you would go to class that Thursday, listen to all these, and then would you have prepared before? Would you have started this Monday, and so they've
You
been
get to-
exposed to them, and then you come to class? And
You get to decide that however you want to do it in your family. That was when I first started. I thought I would like to start with the classroom stuff, but it's actually really nice. We currently are meeting on Thursday mornings, and it's really nice to have that exposure throughout the week. So we listen to the CDs usually starting on the weekends for the next week.
Okay.
And so that way when they come, they've had exposure to it already, and it cements things. But if it works better for your family to start the week on Thursday and then
Yeah.
go through the next week, that's certainly an option too. There's no right or wrong way of how you want to implement that at home. Okay.
I'd like to add, the tour book thing has the words that are on the song. So I'm more of a reading and listening, so I was like, what are they saying and what, so the book does tell you everything that's on the CD.
Yeah, that's what the tour book does, is it has all of the written memory work.
It's been the Latin that I've not been able to understand him
Right,
say.
but it's definitely Latin.
It's definitely
He just
coming.
randomly, I thought was making up words, but now it makes me wonder if that's what I just never caught it.
So what's the point of Latin, just because that was the base language, or what?
Yeah, usually in classical education it includes Latin. It's kind of the basis of all different so many different languages, and as well as science and other types of.
Want to study law or medicine later on, it's a
Exactly.
good base to have.
Yep.
Well, Latin helps you my dad took Latin, he went to a Catholic thing. It makes it easier to learn Spanish and
Right.
French, and because a lot of them, Latin's their root. So you look at that, it's gonna naturally be easier to learn foreign languages if they learn Latin at a younger age.
And also it can help to cement the English language too.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it shows you, it pieces things apart so you can see which part of speech is a lot easier as well. Plus, it makes you look so smart when your kids are talking about Latin. Because that's really what it's all about, is me. Okay.
Long term, it can help on their vocabulary, like on their ACT, things like that.
Being able to recognize a word they've never seen, but they can find the Latin parts in it,
Kind
the
of
Greek
the
parts
root
in
of
it.
it, get
Yeah.
some a better guess.
It definitely helped in nursing school, I can tell you that. We only had a little bit of it in high school, but it was a huge help, so.
Yeah, I think I had a year of it, and it's still something where I recognize pieces of words and.
Okay. So I want to talk a little bit now. Any other questions about any of that so far? Okay. I want to talk about what our Catholic Schoolhouse Day looks like. I'm not sure if it's going to be more helpful to start with. Okay. So this is an example schedule. It's not the exact one that we follow, but ours is very similar. When we start our day, we get there. Everybody's expected to be there at 8:40 in the morning, and then there's about 5 minutes. We always start our day with prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. And we've been integrating some virtues too, and so giving an opportunity for the scholars to say how they've been practicing the virtues that week. We focus on 5 main ones in Catholic Schoolhouse. And then after about 5 minutes, the dialectic students are dismissed. So they go with the tutor and go have a 15-minute Latin class. And then everybody else, and anywhere from the nursery students through the grammar level, stay for about 15 minutes of chorus time. Okay. And then after that, that's when everybody else is going to be separated into their different classes. So our pre-grammar students will go to their pre-grammar room, our grammar A students go to their grammar A room, and their grammar B students go to their grammar B room, each with their own tutor. Okay. They have 2 hours of classroom instruction throughout the day. It is broken up with a 30-minute art class and a 30-minute science class. And then, so that's what the younger kids are doing. And then our dialectic students, after their Latin, they have an hour of dialectic communications. And then it alternates weeks because their projects are more involved. They either have science or art. So that alternates every other week. And then after that, they conclude with the dialectic seminar. Then at the end of the day, we all get back together, and we are dismissed at noon, so we go ahead and pray an Angelus together. And then little bit of chaos while we close down and clean up. And then we go home for the day and we're done midday, and you have the rest of the day. If you want to go home and do more work, you certainly can. We never do. We usually go nap. We're exhausted. But it's up to you, so you have the rest of the day free. This might be a good time if you guys wanted to talk about do we have any people that might have dialectic scholars?
Mine were all the old.
The older, okay. Okay,
What age is dialectic?
usually about 7th grade through 9th grade.
Okay, yeah, I would have
Yeah,
mine.
mine would both be entering 7th grade.
I don't know if I have one or two, I guess.
Okay, well, let's definitely talk about it so you guys at least know what those terms mean. Do you maybe, what do you do in the classroom?
If communications, what we do is we have a presentation that we have a couple every week, and then we go into IEW. So I think I'm going to kind of tell you about the presentation. So every week, it changes every 3 weeks. So every scholar has an opportunity to present with every topic. It started off the beginning of this year. They were nervous, like they had to recite something and just like, read it from the paper. And they were all so nervous and weird. And then now this last one we just finished was persuasive speeches. We've been talking about logical fallacies. And so now each student got to choose a topic that we've covered through the year. And it was just to kind of show you like the huge range in students and homes and education. I'll tell you some about the